Women have been giving birth for centuries, so it's a pretty natural experience, right? Wrong. I'm Stephanie King, professional doula, childbirth educator, and the creator of the My Essential Birth course, the online childbirth education course that's helping women everywhere confidently achieve their best birth. Today's culture would have us think that birth should be treated like an illness or an emergency, and that most of us need other people telling us what's best for our bodies because we aren't the experts. So sit tight, because if you're tuning into this podcast, you'll probably start to believe in your body, your intuition, and find yourself empowered and confident to do what it takes to have the birth of your dreams. If you like listening to me take you through these weekly topics step by step, then you're going to love the My Essential Birth course. Make sure that you're subscribed to the podcast, and definitely head over to myessentialbirth.com for the free downloads mentioned right here in these episodes, and to join the birth course and community full of pregnant moms just like you. I have to add a disclaimer that I am not a medical professional and I cannot provide medical advice. All of the information expressed in this podcast are based off of personal, professional, and educational experiences and are my own opinions. Please work with a provider you trust for medical advice during your pregnancy and birth.
Reviewer of the week, a Milbang. Informative and fun.
Amy L. Bang.
Excuse me. Amy L. Bang. This podcast was recommended to me by a friend a few weeks after I found out I was pregnant with my first. Hooray. I've wanted to be a mom ever since I can remember, but have always been terrified of giving birth. I'm 38 weeks now. Does it sound patronizing when I'm reading out their thing like this? Yeah, a little bit. I'm 38 weeks now and planning on an unmedicated birth in a hospital. I feel so informed and empowered to make educated decisions during my birth journey.
Go back, because she said,
excuse me. I feel so informed and empowered to make educated decisions during my birth journey, no matter the twists and turns that often happen. This is great. How cute.
You're going to love the next part.
So thank you, ladies, for giving this mama the confidence she needs. I'm actually looking forward to birth now. Mostly. Sweaty emoji. And can't wait to meet my sweet baby boy. Aw, baby boy. Side note, I think you guys are hilarious, and I love being able to learn as well as laugh during your podcast. So thanks again. Is that good, sweetie?
That's perfect. We tried something new on that one. I hope that you guys enjoyed it. Amy, I am sorry. And thank you so much for the review.
Sorry.
I love how you said that. Thank you, ladies, because my husband is here right now.
Yeah.
No, you guys are talking about Courtney. Obviously, she's awesome, and I know that you listen to her as well. And so, way to go, us. Okay. I think we're funny too. I hope you think my husband and I are funny, because we think we're funny. So
isn't that the worst? That's like being an adult.
We are
and
adults.
Your kids complaining about your kids. They just don't know how cool we are.
Oh, we're cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. So what's this week's episode about, sweetie?
You tell me.
Come on.
You've had a baby. Now what?
There it is. Nailed it. This one's going to be all about bringing baby home. So seriously, you've had a baby, right? What's next? So this has become, right, a 24-hour responsibility. And I think
it's beautiful. Go ahead. Sorry.
This is why he's here, you guys. You need a guy's perspective on this. It's different for us as mothers than it is as dads. Mm-hmm. But I think being prepared beforehand can make it a little bit more manageable, wouldn't you say?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And it's interesting because especially like with a first baby, like you never go back to what you would consider a normal life, right? Like things are things are very different.
It is different, but who would want to go back to that life anyway?
Once you have a baby, it's very much that way. I agree.
Yeah.
Totally. But I'm going to go through the different things that happen from the time that you have birthed until you get home, and even some tools that you can use once you brought your baby home, kind of to start to manage that everyday stuff. And I thought it would be fun to have my husband here because I think what it looks like for moms is probably a little bit different than what it looks like for dads.
It's basically the same thing. Baby's crying, you breastfeed it, and, put it back down.
You're talking about yourself now?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Glad we covered that up.
That's sarcasm.
I got it. Okay. Okay, so postpartum. What happens at the hospital to clear you to head home? So your vehicle gets checked, right? Was ours checked?
I don't think so.
I think that's something that they do, though.
I don't think they did where we were.
Okay, well, they want to make sure, like, you have a safe place to bring baby home. I mean, we had to bring in a car seat. They had to go out in a car seat.
Yeah. I just remember having the little, whatever it is that goes in your car seat or your car that the car seat clips into.
Yeah.
A little baby carrier thing. The base. That's the word.
Drop the base.
Yes. Very good.
Okay. So we've got our base. We've got the car seat. We've got a car. All that's super positive. But mom also goes through some wellness checks. Do you remember any of this?
Oh, vaguely.
Okay.
I think I'm trying to think. In Germany, what did they do? They handed you cigarettes and a bottle of wine.
Wellness check.
Yeah, that was your wellness check because you've been waiting this whole time. And it's hilarious to see all the moms out there.
Having their cigarette,
wheelchair
their bottle of wine.
with a baby.
Yes.
Yeah. In California, what was it?
It's okay if you don't remember. That wasn't a wellness check anyways. You were absolutely
I think there was a little one
different
because you'd had a C-section as well.
Sure. So, yes. So it'll look different for a mom who's had a cesarean versus a mom who did not. But they want to make sure that mom is not hemorrhaging, bleeding has calmed down. If there's any stitches, that they're looking like they're healing well. Same with if you've had a cesarean birth, that the stitches are healing well. That mom is like mentally stable, right? Before as much as
it's a sliding scale.
As much as you can be before leaving the hospital. And then there's checks for baby. Do you remember any of the checks for baby?
Mentally stable. No, I'm just kidding.
Not even close.
I don't know. What,
really?
Pooping? Is it pooping? Is one of them?
They have to have a certain number of wet diapers, certain number of poopy diapers, and then they do like a quick physical exam over baby. Height, weight, all that stuff. And then there's things like they want to do the hearing test, or maybe there's some blood screening if you choose to have vaccines, that gets done. So they get checked out by a pediatrician before you leave the hospital. In some cases, if you choose to have a circumcision done, that'll be done at the hospital too. Not always, but it can be before you leave. And so they'll want to not only do it, but then check on baby to make sure that they're okay. What are you laughing at?
Nothing. That's my own internal dialogue. Go ahead.
Okay. Does it need to be external?
As a husband's checklist.
Oh, yeah. What's husband's checklist?
You make sure the base is in there.
The base.
Drop the beat when you got the baby in there, and then you drive home at about 20 miles an hour and you are royally pissed at anybody who gets within 100 feet of your car.
Dad checklist.
You want to basically kill everyone on the road around you.
I'm pretty sure I can't include that in the podcast.
And when we're driving home well, I mean, that's just kind of how you feel as a guy. You're like, if anybody gets near me or this car and my baby and my wife, they're going to die. And, in Southern California, when you're leaving that beach area where we were to go back home, there's a lot of people.
Yes, a lot of people. All right. Doctor's going to come by the maternity ward. They're going to check on you after recovery. For mom, it's like you need to be urinating. You have to have a bowel movement. They check on your emotional health. They check downstairs, breast care, if breastfeeding's going well. They check head and back aches kind of stuff. They make sure that you have pain relief if you need it, which a lot of that, they're less and less giving kind of like the opiates or other like big heavy medication. Even for a mom who's had a cesarean birth, it's a lot of like the ibuprofen and things, but making sure that you have what you need and you're comfortable before you leave. I was especially with our first baby, I was really tripped out that they were trusting me to take a baby home. I don't know about you, but I'm like, and that was with a cesarean. So we had been there for 3 days and I'm like, wait, like you feel like this is a safe thing to send me home with this baby? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Do you feel differently? You're like, I got this.
Oh, let's see. So I probably don't remember the first one, but
I remember feeling scared. I was like, can I keep this baby alive?
So by the second one, you're not scared of anything.
Oh, maybe you're not.
Oh, well, even driving home. In Germany, everybody was a good driver, so I wasn't too worried about that. No, really. Everybody was a good driver in Germany. They monitor themselves pretty well. In the first one, I don't really remember as much. It's so long ago.
I just remember being scared. Like, oh my gosh, these people legitimately trust me to take this baby home and keep it alive. Like, what about all the people that are going to come tell me what time they have to breastfeed and if they breastfed enough? And yes, they're okay because they peed this much and they're moving around and their breathing pattern is normal. Like, I just felt like, oh my gosh, this was a lot to take on. But yeah, with the next ones, right?
Well, I think even with the first one, maybe I didn't feel that as much because I have a larger family and I already had several nephews and nieces by then.
Yeah.
So even though I'm the youngest.
Yeah. Baby syndrome.
Obviously. Am I right?
Yes, totally.
Okay.
So yeah, I think, but you, just like you said, with the second and third, it was like, oh my gosh, please leave me alone. Like I know what I'm doing, back up. Right?
Yeah.
Like a little different for sure. I think something to consider is who you're going to have visit. And that's something we made a mistake with on that first one a little bit. If you're listening, Mom, I love you.
I vaguely remember.
Like even in the hospital, like who's going to come visit in the hospital? Like our first birth, how many people did we have in that room?
We had quite a, maybe not in the room, but we had quite a few people visiting.
Party. Yeah. Like,
well, again, I have a big family, and then we have friends.
Yeah, we like
that
brought
stop
friends
by,
over.
and your parents, your family.
Yeah, and it was the big room. Like it was the biggest room I'd given birth in out of any of them.
That's true.
And
what about the German one?
No, it wasn't even that big.
I'm thinking of the laboring room. That was pretty big. The one with the tub.
I still think it was bigger at the other one. But either way, like it doesn't matter the amount of space. It's like, do you want these people there? I don't know.
And you had it lucky too, because you're the only person in there at the time for a while.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, that's true. All right. So there's the like discussion of who to have at the actual birthplace. But what about when you come home? Like, and especially I feel like with COVID and all of the craziness, that might look a little different for people. Do you remember what we did, like about visitors and having people come over?
I know you made everybody use hand sanitizer.
I did.
First time moms, I think, are a little more nuts about, even though they were just inside their bodies, heaven forbid anybody's body touch that body. And they're in the outside world where you're breathing everybody else's air. It's okay. It's normal, I think.
I think you should be
one.
Careful with a newborn.
Yeah, for the first one.
No, not just the first one.
Yeah, but we aren't for the second and third.
We weren't as careful. I don't know. COVID might make me a little more, honestly, just the like thought of illness and stuff, or like just the feeling in the air of like, ugh, you know? I mean, it makes you more cautious.
Everybody is a bit more cautious about germs these days.
Yeah. So we did have quite a few visitors. I don't think it really bothered me to pass baby around, but I know for some moms that's very,
you were nervous to let people hold him and stuff?
At the hospital, I don't think I was.
Yeah, maybe.
Was I?
I feel like you were.
Okay, well.
And even when we got home, you were kind of like,
I wasn't.
my baby. Although he was pretty good because he held his head up pretty early too. So even when people holding him up, he's just like, oh, what's going on? What?
Just like that, huh?
Yeah. Because, their head shakes a little bit. So this doesn't translate necessarily to a podcast.
No,
but their head kind of jiggles a little bit.
His head's bobbing
like a
around.
little bobbly head thing.
Oh, goodness.
And they got this look on their face because, baby's vision is blurry until like 6 months.
Okay, I want to give you permission that whoever you want over there is fine to have, and whoever you don't want is perfectly fine to not have too. I will have video of this as well.
That's fine.
So you're aware.
That's why I'm doing it.
Okay, all right. Look directly into the camera when you do it. Thanks. Anyways, and so whether your baby was born vaginally or by cesarean, there's going to be about 6 weeks of recovery. And so that's just information to have as to like, there's emotional recovery, there's physical recovery. Yeah. You're going to be bleeding, which I think is really unfair after you've given a baby to be bleeding so heavily. I understand why it happens. I'm just saying to have to deal with that on top of nursing a baby
and bloody horrendous
and everything else. Grief, Michael. So don't overexert yourself. And in fact, a way to know if you are overexerting yourself is if your bleeding has slowed down and then all of a sudden picks back up again. And so if it does, it means you're maybe holding baby too much, you're going around cleaning and making dinner too much, you're on your feet too much. And so to kind of scale that back so that bleeding can calm down again. Heavens.
Go ahead.
No. That also brings me to the important conversation that you should have with your husband or partner, because a lot of that is going to fall on them and they're just going to naturally pick it up. Right, sweetie?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It comes very natural to guys.
Yeah. Even if you talk about it before.
Deal with a baby. Yeah.
No, not that. Like, what about the house stuff? What about like taking care of dinner or cleaning up around the house or doing laundry?
McDonald's?
Yes. This is the problem. So knowing that going into your postpartum, good conversation to have before, great to have meals prepped, or a postpartum doula.
And we had a pretty strong community that brought us food as well.
Plus,
which was
we didn't
really
have
nice.
like Grubhub and Instacart.
Yeah, the
you
world has
know?
gotten so great, hasn't it?
Yeah. So
Ugh.
whereas you used to have to hire somebody to go and do these things, like now you really
Yeah.
can just, hey, let's order in, hopefully on some healthier things. But even like my mother-in-law was incredible. My mom was great. Like they both came and made food and helped around the house. We had people within
yeah.
our community, just within our church and stuff, who came and brought us meals and would hold the baby so I could eat or whatever. Like it was just, we did have a really good support team.
Just put him under a laundry basket and put like a couple of bricks on top so he doesn't go anywhere.
Where's a newborn going to go?
That's what I said. Put him under a laundry basket.
Where's he going to go if he wasn't under the laundry
No, I don't know.
basket?
So he doesn't wander off. You can sit and take a nap or
Nobody's going to wander off.
go to the grocery store, go see a movie. Or,
Yeah, that's the plan.
Yeah.
Do not listen to any of this. You are killing my evidence-based
Oh,
podcast.
oh yes. That's true. There was no evidence that we did this. Wink, wink. No,
Okay.
I'm just kidding. I would hope people would have some sort of sense of humor, but
Most of them do.
that's true. But you never know. Some
Every
people
once in
are
a while, I
very-
get an email and I'm like, you don't get me.
We've interacted with some people recently that have no discernible sense of humor.
That's
Like
not
ability to understand a joke. Not in a mean way, like that just everything is too literal.
Yes. Don't take this too literally.
They're children. They're
Don't
children.
don't take life too literally.
They're children.
Or birth too
Not
literally.
adults.
Although they come from adults.
That's true. And will be one day.
And will
Oh,
be.
that makes you
heavens.
think.
Okay, so there are a couple things, I don't know, even about COVID, it makes you think, like, what are the recommendations? And so you'll have to decide, even within your state, and I mean, there's going to be laws and stuff around you. However, I think, too, like, no matter what those precautions or whatever in your state are recommending, it's going to be whatever you're comfortable with within your home. And I know for a lot of moms, this is of big concern, whether or not babies are doing fine with it or not. And so I think it's really important, just whatever your comfort level is, to respect that, respect yourself for it, and allow yourself the freedom to just make that comfortable space for you and your family. And probably include your husband in it, because you might be comfortable with a lot less than they are. And
Oh, yeah.
some input might be great.
Well, I think, too, whatever government control there is out there for whatever's going on, a mother is generally more paranoid than the government is about anything.
Maybe.
Come on.
I don't know. That's probably true.
Come on.
Okay.
You know it
Breastfeeding.
is.
Breastfeeding. So after baby's born, I actually did an entire podcast episode about this. I haven't decided if it's going to come before or after you guys hear this episode, but I talked about the golden hour. Do you know what the golden hour is?
I know what the golden ratio is.
Yeah. I assumed your golden quote would have to do with urine in one way or another, but
No.
golden.
How often do I make urine jokes?
I just mean you're a guy, and it's either like poop or
yeah.
something
No,
downstairs.
that's the funny end.
Okay. So what do you have any idea of what the golden hour is?
No.
Okay. So
Please explain.
we've done this before. It's that immediate skin to skin with baby.
Oh,
For
yeah.
that
Okay.
first hour. And I had actually explained in a different podcast episode that we were not able to do that with our first. I think probably because we didn't even know that we could ask for it with a cesarean birth. And I know in your case, I don't think you were super comfortable doing skin to skin by yourself while I was getting sewn up.
In front of everybody.
Who was everybody? The nurses?
Oh, they're like 6 or 7 nurses. It'd be just weird
who would be
to
anxious
be like,
to,
hey, there's my new baby. Let me take off my shirt.
hey, you had some abs at that time. You should have been,
Yeah.
that would have been the time to do it.
It'd been too rock hard. Hurt the baby.
Oh my gosh. Washboard. Just wash the baby. Anyways, so that kind of
Expect
golden
more from you.
that kind of golden hour after you have baby, that's the time for bonding. That's a time for breastfeeding. It produces oxytocin. It helps mom and baby bond. It helps mom have contractions that expel the placenta. All of that is really important, and making sure that breastfeeding goes well at the beginning helps it to continue that way. So the better established you guys get breastfeeding at the beginning, should you choose to breastfeed your baby, the greater chance you'll have of that continuing successfully, which I think is really important. And the nice thing about being at a birth center or at a hospital is that they have people there that can help you make sure that you establish a good latch. What? Because you're thinking of The Office, right?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, okay.
I am now.
Because there's an episode, and anyways, they give birth, Pam and Jim give birth at the hospital, and the the lactation consultant is a man, and it was just like a funny anyway. But they can help make sure that like, okay, if you have sore nipples, we can figure that out. Make sure that you got your nipple cream. You should have breast pads, all the things that go along with that. And then they're probably going to maybe give you some information about pumping should you choose to be going back to work or anything like that. A little information about your milk production. Is your baby eating enough? So breastfeeding is definitely something that happens postpartum.
I got nothing to say on that one. Most men aren't going to be like, I
remember
remembered the nipple cream.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What do you remember about the nipple cream?
That's what I'm saying. Most men aren't going to say.
Oh.
I remembered the nipple cream.
Oh, okay. All right.
I got your lanolin.
Hey, you do remember.
Well, that's because of, oh gosh, what was that stupid movie?
What?
Oh my gosh, Anchorman.
Not appropriate.
He misheard somebody's name. He said lanolin? Would you say lanolin? Like sheep's wool? Anyway.
Okay. Diapers. Diapers are something to consider a good way to making sure that baby's getting everything that they need, or at least as much as they're supposed to be getting. You can tell by the amount of soiled diapers that they have. I'm not going to get into all of that, but counting diapers is something that you'll probably be doing postpartum, paying attention to how many wets and how many poopy diapers. I feel like every time you change a diaper, whether it's poop or not, like they've peed, right?
Yeah, they're like a
pee
bird. It's
lot.
just constant flow of whatever coming out the back end.
Yeah. And then making sure, if, for umbilical cord purposes, you'll fold the diaper down, any creams or whatever.
Oh, yeah, folding the diaper, all that stuff.
I know, because they're so
these
little.
little things that you forget that you have to do all the time.
And so those newborn diapers are nice because they usually have a little cutout where the umbilical cord goes. We still folded them, just tucked it underneath just to make sure it wasn't anywhere near it. And then they'll tell you can either clean it with alcohol or, there's different things that you can use, which I won't name all of them here because then I'll have to list them all. But there's different herbal remedies and then stuff that they give you from the hospital too.
Because I don't want to listen here because I just don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that right now. And I don't have them listed out, so then I'll have to think about it. And anyways.
And you'll start saying things twice, and there it goes.
That's exactly how it goes. How about sleeping or lack of sleeping?
Holy cow.
Taking turns with your partner.
Nobody likes a gloater.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you want to tell that story or should I?
I will tell that story.
Oh, let's hear it this is from my husband's perspective. I can't wait.
So I'm trying to sleep. Yeah. No, we're trying to sleep. And of course he cries a lot because he had this weird thing where he'd throw up all the time.
Yeah.
Colicky. And so obviously the best solution is just, feed him and he'll shut up. And
that is none of this. Go ahead.
Tell me how that doesn't work.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Anyway, and so, but he would also eat and eat and eat and eat and bloat himself up and get really huge, like a water balloon. And then he would throw it up all the time. I don't know. You have to tell the rest of it. I don't really remember. I'm half asleep when this is going on, and you're telling me you think he's going to throw up. And I'm like, oh, he's fine. Just go back to bed. And I just, vaguely in my half awake, half asleep, which, by the way, people cannot be held responsible for what they do or say half awake or half asleep.
Depends on what
it's
it
like
is.
being in a dream. Can't be held responsible. And
he really wasn't that asleep. You weren't that asleep.
Yeah, I was. And he just unloads all over the bed. And it's like somebody took one of those red gallon buckets or something like that and just dumped milk out on the bed.
It was everywhere.
And you're like, see? And I said,
I didn't say it like that.
Yeah, you did.
No,
you're
I
didn't.
didn't.
See,
I was
told you.
See, something's wrong. It was a concerned see.
And I said, nobody likes a gloater, sweetie.
Yeah,
and
leans
I rolled
over.
back over.
Nobody likes the gloater.
Yeah.
Quoting The Simpsons in his sleep.
Yeah.
That's life.
Yeah.
Life with my husband. Okay, so I think...
Fun times.
Yeah, it was fun times.
But it's true. Nobody does like a gloater.
Okay, but in the beginning, you don't sleep at all.
No.
There's no such thing. Yeah.
No.
And I was recovering from surgery, and so you were having to help me sit up a lot. That's the kind of stuff that I remember. So
you
middle
had no
of the
ab
night.
Muscles.
No, I had no ab muscles. And I needed to nurse, and we didn't have a fancy bed that lifted itself up one day.
Yeah, I know. One day
One
when
day.
we're 85 and we need a bed that helps us get out of bed.
Hey, we just tried out that bed.
I know. It was very comfortable.
It
but
was
it's not
very
worth that much money.
expensive.
Anyway.
But it sounded like a good plan. Anyways, so that was the other thing too, was at the hospital, I could sit myself up and I could nurse my baby.
Because you had a bed that would move.
Yeah. But at home, obviously, I had a husband that works as a lift.
Has a bed.
Yeah. So every time I got up, he would have to get up. And you went back to work really quick, so you went back to work tired.
Like,
we had him on Friday afternoon, came back on a Sunday, and you went back to work Monday.
Yeah.
But I think if you have a plan or an idea of a plan, like if we could have maybe talked about some of the things beforehand, maybe it would have gone a little smoother. I think we did fine for what it was. But what if we had like a shift, like, oh, actually from here to here, like I'm going to pump and you nurse the baby, or I don't know. That it just had
Nipple
me thinking.
Nipple confusion, sweetie. Nipple confusion.
And this is how he would get out of it anyways. But actually there is an app that called Huckleberry.
Serious?
And I guess, yeah. It's a tool.
That sounds great.
But it can help the partner to track things too, like feedings and diaper changes and how long baby slept. But it also lets you write notes back and forth to each other in the app.
Haven't you ever seen the movie Tombstone?
No.
Oh, well, then never mind.
I'm probably too young for that.
The men will understand if they've seen Tombstone, and some ladies.
They're probably too young for that too. You're just old now.
That's not too young.
How
Everybody
old
watches
is it?
TNT movies.
What's TNT?
Oh, shut up. Yeah, right. Or TBS or whatever they are.
TBS.
Wasn't TBS one of those
like
channels
tuberculosis?
No, that's TB.
You're thinking of PBS.
No,
Public
that's
service.
the channel that's never got anything good on it.
Is TBS a thing?
Except begging for money. Go ahead.
Anyways. Okay, so with that app, though, it'll help you to not be so confused. You guys can pick up right where the last person left off. So I think that's a helpful idea.
Yeah, that does sound good.
Yeah. Okay. How about meals? What did we do for meals? We kind of talked about that a little bit. I didn't do any meal prep. I probably should have done that. I never, not with any of our babies, did meal prep.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Well, but we also were surrounded by people that were going to be making us food. So that is really nice. If you know someone who's had a baby, make them a lasagna.
Oh, for real?
A gluten-free,
yeah,
sugar-free, dairy-free lasagna.
No,
I'm just kidding.
But make them food.
And make sure there's no nuts.
But we have cooked for people that have had those kinds of restrictions, and all the better. Those people probably need it even more, right?
Yes. No, they deserve nothing. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
Postpartum, though, I think it's really important. It's really easy to focus on the baby and not so much on what we need. And if we're not getting the nutrition that we need, then it can cause difficulty, even if we're not getting like the amount of calories that we should be having every day to be able to produce what we need to feed our babies and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
Or to feel well, like our mental health and all of that. A lot of what we say, right, is like when you come home, it's really important that you are not only eating healthy and well, you still got that well-balanced diet, still high protein.
Well-balanced diet.
Well-balanced, except I started adding in like a lot of like sugary treats and things afterwards, which probably didn't help with the colicky and who knows. Anyways, I wanted something delicious.
I want a freaking pie.
Yes. I just, as you're like, gaining a ton of weight at the end, not like I was like super careful, but I was afraid of gaining a ton more weight than
I had no idea how much weight you would gain until you show me those pictures like later on. I didn't. Like you throw
like
out
it's slowly happening.
Yeah, like you throw out the figure and I'm like, oh, okay, that sounds like a lot. But then you see the pictures and I'm like, oh, wow, you really did.
Whoa.
Goo.
Oh, boy.
Not that that's bad. But
Never.
see, that's something that it should encourage the ladies, because your husband really probably doesn't even notice.
Yeah. That's good.
That's
good.
I didn't.
Yeah. No,
You're
that's
still
good.
cute and prego and
Yes.
mincing around in your little prego way.
Yes. I'm a mincer. So you're going to need time to recover is really what it comes down to, and to be gentle with yourself. And a lot of the like postpartum mood disorders or concerns that we see that way, I think a lot of it can be, as much as it can be, kind of helped by making sure that you're getting out every day, preferably in the sun, but at least outside with fresh air, that you're doing something to move your body, whether that's yoga inside or walking outside with your new baby and your partner, just doing something that way, but making sure that you're getting your vitamins, you've got your food, and you're taking care of yourself postpartum as well. Agreed?
Yeah, no, that all sounds good.
Okay.
You could be like one of these super freak moms that runs a marathon 3 days after they have a baby. I see them on social media.
Yes.
It's very
They
impressive.
exist, and it is impressive, but
that's genetic and
it's
training.
not you.
Don't think that's you. Unless you are one.
Unless you are one. But if you are, you know who you are,
You know
and
where
we
you
don't
can
have
go.
to tell
We
you
don't care about you.
any of that.
I'm just kidding.
That is not Nice. Okay. So making sure that you've got
Just
fruits and
jealous.
vegetables and whole grains and all the things. And they say for breastfeeding that like add an extra 300 calories a day, 300 to 500 calories, which just for reference is like the size of like half of a bagel with cream cheese.
It's like a donut.
Don't add the donut.
Or like
choose a healthier choice if you can. But
like a couple of ice cream scoops of something.
yeah.
Or like one of those shakes, is it Blizzard that everybody gets? It's like a little ice cream shake thing with Oreos in it. Doesn't that sound good right now?
That's what I get. That's what I got the last week of pregnancy with Dave every single day. Remember? I was like, bring me home one. Like every day he's in, I'm going to sit here and eat this. Do you remember that?
I vaguely remember that. Yeah. Look at that. Maybe that's where it came from.
Hope you enjoy
That's
being stuck in there because I'm just going to keep eating this every day.
My stupid subconscious suggestion. Oh, it's the trauma of Dave.
Oh, he's not traumatic.
No, I meant the birthing experience.
Of course. Okay, tell me a little bit more about what stuck out for you postpartum. Like as you think about it and you look back, what are the things that you remember most that were hard? And then what are the things that you remember most that were the best ever?
Things that were hard. You're not, generally speaking, as a guy, naturally built to do the things that your wife is built to do. Like they're very impressive. They're very, I don't know, just kind of comes natural, and they're able to do things that you can't really, like I wouldn't think to do a lot of the junk that you did.
Like what?
Well, and I think it's because you're surrounded by the baby so much more than we are that it's like, oh, I recognize these sorts of cries mean this, or you would tell when he'd poop and I wouldn't even know. And things like that. Like I wouldn't even smell it. He'd be like, oh, he pooped. I'm like, what are you talking about? That fresh batch of cherries? Cherry pie coming out there? But so women are, I think, much more impressive in that regard. They just kind of have like a sense for it. And that kind of makes sense because they bear children that they would. But let's see. And, I don't know.
What were some things that were like hard at the beginning?
Sleeping. Sleeping. Helping you shower and stuff.
Oh, I don't even remember that.
And not really hard, just things you had to be careful about, particularly because you had a C-section with the first one. The second one, I think I was just more cautious that you wouldn't like fall over or something right after you had him because you had been laboring for 3 weeks and 4 solid days of no sleep. And little things like that. I don't know, your attention kind of focuses in, and it doesn't seem hard so much as it just seems like it's always there. Like even when Dave was born at home, it wasn't, none of that was really that difficult. Yeah. As much as it was just in addition to. Yeah. And then when you have older kids, it's kind of cute and fun too.
Right. So I think what stood out for me that I thought was hard for you was that because he was colicky, he cried all the time. Yeah. And you were like, I don't know what to do with this baby. I don't know what to do with this baby. Here, take it. Right? Like you were like, well,
because breastfeeding worked.
No.
Like he didn't have poop. He obviously wasn't going to bed. So it's like, if I give him to you and you kind of, latch him on there, he seemed to be all right.
Yeah, it worked.
So I was like, oh, well, this is probably what he needs.
But I don't even know. Maybe it was like 3 months. I don't know. It wasn't 6 months. It was probably about like 2 or 3 months. And I went to the store. Do you remember this? The very first time I like ventured out, I'm like, I need to get out of the house.
Vaguely.
I made it to the parking lot of the store, which was on the same street in which we lived. And I got a call.
To be fair, we lived in Southern California, so the same street is about a 3-hour trip.
It was definitely less than 10.
I know, I'm just kidding.
Definitely. It was like 7 minutes.
It's really not that bad.
And I got a call.
Well, and what was the call about?
I can't do this. Pants? I can't do this. Come home.
Be more specific.
No, I'm pretty sure that's what you said. Like, he won't stop crying. Nothing I'm doing is working. You need to come home. That's how I remember it. And I'm like, I just need to be in the store by myself, not worrying about this, buying chicken. Like, that's it. I didn't last very long. I don't know that I even went to the store. I can't remember if I shopped real quick in a panic or if I just came straight home. Oh. It's okay.
Yeah, I don't even remember.
Yeah,
but
I
we
do.
Were both new parents, so you're just like, I don't know what to do.
I think, right? Like, probably the most important thing once you get baby home is to have a little bit of grace with each other.
Yeah. As far as I know, he's falling apart, so I don't.
Yeah. Anyways, and then I remember
right, you don't
too,
wanna
we
do
tried to like, I was like not a high producer. Like I know some of these moms,
Oh,
like,
yeah.
right? You could like pump and get milk, and like that didn't happen.
You're getting like a tablespoon or something.
Right. And I would pump in between feedings to try and increase.
Them lazy bees.
Turns out actually was making what my baby needed. I just didn't make a ton extra. Anyways, that a conversation for a different day. But I remember I had pumped some and we put it into a bottle because I was like, this will be great. Like Michael could feed him occasionally and I could get out of the house.
A thimble of milk.
Yeah, whatever. He wouldn't even take the thimble.
Yeah, I know.
He wouldn't. And we tried to like squirt it on him. And
he only wanted the goodies.
And for some moms, that's really hard though. Okay,
Yeah,
so tell me
I get it.
Are there like some of your like, oh, but this made it so good to bring baby home. Like this part of postpartum or this part of like having a new baby was my absolute favorite.
What made it so good to bring him home?
I know one thing that you loved.
What?
No,
what was it?
I want you to tell me your stories first.
I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Something that I loved about bringing him home was him. Well, he really loved the kitties. That was really funny and sweet. So I remember.
What?
Don't you remember?
Newborn.
I know, but you were afraid of letting one of the kitties, the gray cat, near him.
Yes.
But she curled up on your stomach the entire time you were pregnant. It was like nuzzling it.
If you've seen Twilight, I think she imprinted.
And kneading on it and all this other stuff. And as soon as he was born and out, she ignored you completely and started curling up next to him. Like she knew he was in there and loved him and was like over there hanging out with him.
Yes.
And she would do the funniest things where she would turn around and kind of let her tail go down in his face and then kick it up when he tried to grab it and just like playing with him and stuff. And it was very sweet.
Enter postpartum anxiety.
And you didn't like it because you're like, it's just like those old witches' tales where it's going to voodoo strangle my baby. She's going to put her paws in his mouth and kill him or take his soul. Or
oh my gosh.
That's basically what you turn into. You can't help it. It's okay.
There was a lot of cat hair, which I didn't like.
Oh, and he's going to choke on the cat hair.
I didn't think he was going to choke on it. I just didn't want him around it.
Not your hair, which is 9 feet long.
I didn't want it around him. And she was making me nervous because she would curl up right at his feet. What if she did it on his face? Yeah. What if? It does happen.
If she did, she would keep him warm. I know. I'm sure everybody has a story
dies
out there about some baby being killed by a kitty that suffocated it, even though it's never actually happened.
It could happen.
But
they're very tiny.
It's just like everybody was always paranoid about Halloween candy having like razors and stuff in it. And
how are you comparing this?
But see, this is my.
To razor blade Halloween candy.
Exactly. That's a scary thing. And so you're paranoid your kid's going out trick-or-treating. It turns out it had never happened until recently. Actually, there's like the first case ever was like within the last like couple years.
It's probably one of the kids that heard it when they were young.
Yeah, exactly.
Eat their candy.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think that's just something the parents made up at one point, so kids would give over their good stuff to the parents.
My parents were pretty freaked out about it. Look, it's not the same thing, and it can happen.
It's a bit the same.
Animals can harm the babies. I was thinking what you loved was how loud his toots were. Do you remember that?
I don't even remember.
Oh my gosh.
I vaguely remember.
They were so loud they would wake us up.
Super loud. Yeah.
Do you remember?
That now, yeah.
Anyways, and it was only probably for the first month or so.
Yeah.
But you're like, I can't wait to take him to church.
Oh yeah. You just kind of rub his stomach a little bit, work
let
one
it
out,
rip.
Pump his legs.
And then it just big smile. Yep, that was mine.
I'm so proud.
Yes. Okay, so I mean, right? I feel like we gave a decent amount of. I hope you guys got something educational out of this.
Oh, this was terrible information.
As long and like on top of that, information for like what it's like to be a parent postpartum, or like as you walk through, right, having a baby and bringing them home.
I suppose it's just you just have to kind of go with it, and it's all fine. It'll all be fine. You'll get over the fact that you're insane about how dirty everyone is around your baby, because I don't know, you just grow out of it eventually.
Yeah,
I hope
everybody
hopes, because somehow,
and for yourself, because that I think that does come from a place of like anxiety and
somehow humanity survived this far.
I understand where you're coming from. I also appreciate where moms are coming from.
Well, I think women are just mentally inclined to protecting their babies, and they have to be, because human babies are like the most weak, pathetic little creatures on the planet.
It's true.
In terms of newborns.
Yes.
And so, it's sort of a natural inclination. Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah. But I don't know. And it's fun. Like you try to think of what it was like before you had kids and you're like, what did I even do?
I remember we were like 30 days into this, and that's exactly the conversation we were having.
Yeah.
Like how did our lives exist before this? This is like everything I could have ever dreamed up that I would want.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine ever not having this in my life anymore.
Right. Even if you'd never thought about really having kids before either.
Right.
It's like you
yeah.
just...
Well, and they're just like part of your family, like instantly and
fun.
Forever. Yeah.
And they get more fun the older they get, especially
it's
like
really
for
fun.
dads, because once they hit like a few months in, you're no longer this, I can't do anything with them, because they'll kind of scooch around or roll around and do funny little things, and their personality starts to develop.
Laugh at you.
And laugh at you. And then when they start like
you
really
remember when
crawling
William would
and
crawl
doing
and
like
do that?
Yeah. He would like crawl along and then
show
like
his
stop
muscles.
and like go like flex at you.
He was like 6 months old.
Yeah,
he was so
it was pretty
tiny.
funny.
It was so cute.
And then when they start laughing and you really hear their laughs and stuff like that. Or like the people who are kind of nutty a little bit and they think, oh, he's smiling at me. And of course, smiling is always just gas.
Not
like,
always. No, some babies
gassy.
Really do.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. They
yeah.
do. They do.
Sure. Anyway. But yeah, it's just, they're fun. And we were actually just watching baby pictures or videos recently. And realizing that
about
we should have
how much younger we looked.
Well, no, it's just you forget how freakishly cute they are. Do not live your life through your phone watching your kids, but do not forget to take pictures and video of your kids, because you will look back at that and you'll remember their little chubby round faces and their sweet little elfish voices
that you will not remember until you hear it again.
Yep.
And it is heavenly.
And even it, like, you took a photo of him as a newborn. I clearly remember a photo of him as a newborn. And then even just like a week or two later, and you had the newborn onesie next to him, and you're like, I forgot how small he was even when he was just born. Yeah, it happens really fast.
That's really good advice. I think we're going to end it on that. I think moving into being able to bring your baby home with you it can be a lot of crazy, and especially with your first baby, right? But it's also the most incredible thing that next to birth that you get to do together with your birth partner, right? Is to raise that child together and enjoy all those memories together.
Let's have a freaking baby. Are you going to do the Dr. Phil thing ever where you take my hand and walk off after we're done?
You really want to do this, don't you?
Oh, I do.
Okay, we'll end it there.
Okay.
That's it for this week, but make sure you subscribe to the podcast so that you get notifications first as I drop a new episode every week. And don't forget to head over to myessentialbirth.com for all of the free downloads mentioned here and to join the birth course and community serving pregnant moms just like you. If you enjoyed this and other episodes, I would love it if you would take a few minutes to leave a review on Apple Podcasts. I read every single one and include one at the beginning of each episode. See you next week.